Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. A very warm good evening to everyone. I hope all of you are doing good. I welcome you all to today's session of the daily quiz where we discuss some of the most important topics from the prelims examination point of view in the form of question and answers, mainly from the Indian Express and from the PIB. Before we begin, once again a reminder, there is a great chance for all of you to get a one-on-one expert counseling session if you are preparing for the UPSC examination. All that you have to do is fill up the Google form given in the description of the video. The same Google form is also given in the pinned comment section. Just click there, give us all your details, and our experts will get in touch with you to a one-on-one counseling session. Now, without any further ado, let's begin. See the first question. Question number 1 is on your screen. Consider the following statements with regards to adjournment sine die. First, when the house is adjourned without naming a day for reassembly, it is called adjournment sine die. Second, the power of adjournment sine die lies with the President of India. Third, however, the presiding officer of the house can call a sitting of the house before the date or time to which it has been adjourned or at any time after the house has been adjourned sine die. How many of these given statements is or are correct? Now, as you know, the parliament session is going on, rather stormy session. There have been many members of the parliament from the opposition parties that have been suspended. The entire house is almost free of the opposition. In this context, yesterday, the house, that is the Lok Sabha, was adjourned sine die. That's why it is in the news. Now, the difference between adjournment and adjournment sine die is that when you say adjournment sine die, that means the presiding officer has not told when to reassemble. Usually you will see whenever there is ruckus in the house has to be adjourned for some time. The presiding officer says that the house will reassemble after 2 hours or at this time or at that time. Adjournment sine die means there is no reassembly time that has been provided for now. So first statement is correct. Second is wrong. The power to ensure that adjournment sine die takes place is with the presiding officer of the house. So when I say presiding officer, that means in case of the Lok Sabha, it will be the Lok Sabha speaker. In case of the Rajya Sabha, it will be the Rajya Sabha chairperson. Third statement is also true. The presiding officer can call the sitting of the house whenever he or she wants after the house has been adjourned sine die. So out of these three, only 2 are correct. The answer here has to be B. First statement and the third statements are correct. The reason why we're discussing this question is, as you can see here, as more members of parliament from the opposition are being suspended, the house was adjourned sine die. That is, the Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die because the Lok Sabha speaker said that the opposition members are not allowing the house proceedings to go on in the right lawful manner. Next, question number 2. Consider the following statements with regards to XpoSat. First, it is India's pioneering polarimetry mission aimed at studying various dynamics of astronomical sources in extreme conditions. Second, it is only the world's first polarimetry mission using the X-ray. Third, XpoSat is a collaboration between ISRO and the Raman Research Institute in Bangalore. Which of these given statements, or rather how many of these given statements is or are correct? Now, if you look at today's newspaper, there was a news that ISRO will end this year with the launch of XpoSat. That's why it is in the news. The first statement is correct. It is our polarimetry mission. The objective of the mission is to study dynamics of astronomical sources in the extreme conditions. However, India is not the first country to do this using X-ray. India is the second one. So this is the world's second such mission using X-ray. The first one was launched by NASA. The third statement also is correct. It is a joint collaboration between ISRO and Raman Research Institute. The Raman Research Institute was also in the news a few days back. If you remember, we had discussed when a team from this institute is set to take an expedition mission to the Arctic Circle to go and have research carried out in the Arctic Circle Observatory that India has. That is why the answer here has to be again B. 2 statements are correct. First and the third. The second statement is wrong. As you can see here, ISRO is set to launch XpoSat in the coming few days. Here, there is a lot of information here available. If you want, you can study here. This is a mission that will be using X-ray polarization studies to ensure that there is studies of celestial objects conducted at a high degree of accuracy. Next is question number 3. Consider the following statements with regards to newly passed Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita bill. As you know, the IPC has been replaced by the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita bill. First, the offence of adultery, which was struck down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional in 2018, has been omitted under the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita. Means it does not exist under the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita. Second, it does not protect men against rape. Means there cannot be any rape charge imposed if a rape has been conducted on a man. Third, for adults, the offence of outraging the modesty of women and voyeurism now has gender neutrality for the accused under this law, which means women can also be booked under this law if they are accused of outraging the modesty of women. Earlier, it was only for men. How many of these given statements is or are correct about the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita? Now, it's a very, very humongous reform that has been carried out by the government of India to replace the old laws, most importantly the IPC being replaced by the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita. It's not possible for you to remember all the new provisions. However, there are some important provisions that are being mentioned time and time again in the newspapers. These are some of those. All these three are correct. That is, adultery now is not a part of this law. Adultery means when a married man gets engaged in a physical relationship outside the marriage to a married woman, some other married women. That means adultery. It is not an offence now. Also, offence of rape against men still has not been recognized under the law. Third is also true. For outraging the modesty of women, now even women can also be booked. Earlier, it was only restricted to men. There is a detailed article about this Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita. What are the reforms introduced in replacement of the IPC in today's Indian Express newspaper? I would recommend you to read this. These are all the important reforms that you need to remember. Next is question number 4. Consider the following statements with regards to credit score. Number 1. Credit score of an individual is based on their full loan history, which is stored in the database of Credit Information Company registered with the Reserve Bank of India. Second, there are 4 credit information companies, which are TransUnion Civil, Experian, Equifax and CRIF Highmark. All of these are regulated by the RBI. Third, they collect information from a variety of credit providers, including banks, credit card companies, and non-bank financial institutions, and rate the borrowers, that is individuals like us, on a scale of 300 to 900, where 900 is the highest rating. Which of these is correct? If you have ever gone to apply for a loan or a credit card, you would have heard this phrase credit rating. Basically, credit rating or credit score means what is the history of the loans or the credit that you have taken. So if you have taken a loan from the bank and you have not repaid it, that means the other banks should be aware of this information so that they know that you are a person who cannot be trusted. So how would they get to know this? By credit score. So it is all got to do with your PAN card. Your PAN card is attached to your credit score. When anyone in the bank enters your credit card number, rather enters your PAN number on the website of these credit information companies, they will get to know what your credit score is. Higher the credit score, more are the chances that you will get a loan at an easier rate and you will get a credit card easily because you are someone who can be trusted, who has a good history of paying back the loan. Usually it is considered 700 or above is a good score. That's usually a good score. If you have a score of, let's say, less than 550, it will be very difficult for you to get a loan. If you do get a loan, it would be at a very high rate of interest usually. The reason why we're discussing this question is because of this article in the Indian Express about the credit score, its importance, who maintains it, and how are they regulated. Next is the previous year question from 2023. With reference to ancient India, consider the following statements. Number 1. The concept of Stupa is Buddhist in origin. Stupa was originally a repository of relics. Stupa was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition. How many of these given statements are correct? Now all of you know Stupa is related to Buddhism. So I'm not sure if there is any confusion in at least the second and the third statements. Yes, it is used as a repository of relics. Also, it is a commemorative structure that is usually found in Buddhist tradition. However, the confusing part is the first statement. Is it of Buddhist origin? No. It did not really start with Buddhism. The first instance or the first evidence of Stupa and its discussion is found in the Rig Veda. So it's much older than Buddhism. The correct answer here has to be B. Only 2 of these statements are correct. If you see the word stupa, it is mentioned in Rig Ved, Atharved, Yajnapavi Samhita. A lot of these places have the mention of stupa, and Buddhist tradition or the Buddhist literature was not the first one to bring it out. However, the stupa as a concept became famous and got attached to Buddhism much more than any other religion. It is a place where relics of important personalities are kept so that the people who are followers of Buddhism can come and visit those places and pay their respect there. Next, we have a fact of the day, and today we want to discuss about volcanoes and why do they keep on erupting at specific places. Specifically over here, the mention is of Iceland. I'm sure all of you know about volcanoes. It's an activity where the lava flows. It basically leaves from the Earth's surface. It comes above in the atmosphere. It's extremely hot. It's molten rocks in some way. So the rocks that are present underneath the surface of the Earth, when the temperature increases to such a large extent that they become liquid in form in lava and then they come out, that's what you call as a volcanic eruption. Now, usually the volcanic eruptions are closely related to the movement of the tectonic plates. Basically, if you see, there are 3 ways in which these volcanoes take place. First, when you see tectonic plates move away from each other. So there are 2 tectonic plates moving away from each other, the gap that is left in between, this leads to release of this hot molten lava. The second is when the plates move towards each other. When the plates move towards each other, you will see that there is a destruction, there is rise in temperature that leads to the again melting of the rocks, and that again leads to the eruption of lava. The third one is when the magma rises from the hot spots. When magma rises from the hot spots mainly. So hot spots basically are areas within the Earth's surface which are high in temperature. They have the potential to melt the rocks present underneath the surface. All these 3 are conditions under which you will see that volcanoes erupt very frequently. Why is it that some places see more frequent eruptions as compared to others? That is because of their geographical location. For example, if you look at Iceland here, the reason why Iceland has so many frequent volcanoes is because it is located between 2 plates, that is the Eurasian plate and the North American tectonic plate. These are moving apart few centimeters each year. So basically each year they move slightly apart. Even a few centimeters can lead to all this destruction. Even a few centimeters apart creates a space in the surface where the lava erupts, which results in volcanoes. Volcanoes, unlike many other natural disasters, are easy to predict, as in you can at least predict where are the chances that the volcano will take place and where are the chances where volcano would not take place. Unlike others such as earthquake, etc., you can't really predict it. But with volcanoes, the prediction is much more accurate. That brings us to the end of today's discussion. Again, reminding you, do fill up that Google form if you want help in your UPSC preparation with one-on-one expert guidance. The link of the Google form is given in the description of the video and in the pinned comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.